So Kim Sailicki has joined us from Moose Lake. But she has to leave early. So I want to make sure that we recognized Kim with us today.
Glad to be here. Wish I could be here more.
Well, we do too. We do too. Let's do a quick check-in, say hi. Where are you from? So Susan Walker, University of Minnesota, coming to you from St. Paul, Minnesota. Greta.
Hi, I'm Greta Nelson, and I am involved in early childhood family ed as a parent educator, and I am in Cambridge ICNE school districts in Cambridge, Minnesota. And I'm going to choose Karen.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew you were going to do that.
Gotcha.
I'm Karen Zimmerman, parent educator and also early childhood teacher with Rosemount Egan Apple Valley. And I am going to choose Ellen.
Thanks, Karen.
You're
Hi, I'm
welcome.
Ellen Hafner. I am a parent educator in Northfield, and this is Daisy, who
Hi,
must
Daisy.
be on me every second of the day when I'm home. I was gone all morning, so now she's very needy. And I choose Sarah Hardy.
Thanks for picking me. I like to get picked. I'm Sarah Hardy. I'm a parent educator. I worked as a PE for Edina for 4 years and was laid off in August. And now I'm doing my own online parent ed. And I'm supposed to pick someone myself. I choose Lorraine.
I am Lorraine Mickelson. I'm in Wilmer, Minnesota as a parent educator, and we are back in our buildings and had little people and parents for the first time this week, and it just felt great. But I'm tired.
Lorraine, would you like to pick somebody?
Sorry, let's see, Shelly.
I don't know which one, but I'll go. Shelley Doran. I am a parent educator for Rosemount Apple Valley Egan School District 196, and I choose Christy.
Hi everyone, Christy Hansen, parenting educator, Rosemount, Egan Apple Valley, and I guess I'm an assistant administrator too these days. And I'll pick, let's see, I was not here when you started, but the other Shelley, have you gone yet?
I'm here. Hi, I'm Shelley Paterka Colweiss, and I am a parent educator in Inver Grove Heights, and I will pick, let's see, Carrie. Thank you, Carrie, for helping me.
Sorry, wrong buttons here. I'm sorry I've been in and out, but I'm here now. I'm Carrie Yuso with the St. Cloud Area School District, and I'm a parent and family educator there. And I did miss a couple of your introductions. I'm not sure who's gone, but Cinnamon, are you there? Maybe not yet. Okay, raise your hand if you haven't gone yet.
Oh, I'm here. I'm sorry.
you're
I'm on
there,
my
Cinnamon.
phone. Yeah, hi.
Okay.
I'm on my phone. So I'm trying to learn this Zoom on my phone. I'm Cinnamon Tyson. I am parent educator in Chisago Lakes. And like I said, I'm on my phone, so I can't see anybody. So I don't know who has to go. Miles House, please.
How about Yuji?
There you go. And have a good day. Thank you. Shoot,
Hi.
I just signed out.
Hi everyone, my name is Yuji. I'm a parent educator in Montana, Whitefish, Montana. I just started this class. I mean, there wasn't ECFE in Montana, and I'm very excited. I had 2 classes already, and so I'm very happy to learn from everyone here in our group. Thank you. So I will choose Melissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa from Albert Lee School District, Southern Minnesota. And I am a parent educator, early childhood teacher, lead teacher, and instructional coach. So, lots of hats. And I missed a few people who already went too, so I'm not sure. Kim, have you gone? You did? Okay. Greta is the only other person I can see. Greta, have you gone?
So Becca or Sarah or Kelly?
Kelly, go for it.
Hi, I'm Kelly Copenhaver. I'm a parent educator in northern Minnesota in Barnum and Cloquet. And Sarah, if you're available.
Hi, friends. I'm just eating and I don't, so you don't have to see my face eat. Sarah Fritch, Big Lake, early childhood. Whoop, whoop.
Which leaves us Becca. Welcome back. Yay, Becca.
I'm Becca Coring. I teach parent ed in Maplewood, and I have a class on Fridays that's now in person that doesn't get out till 11:30, and then I have to run home to do this so my husband can go to work. So I'll always be 10 minutes late. This is the fastest I can get here.
Well, we're very happy that you're with us. So how's it going? So Lorraine, you said that you guys started up again. Anybody have anything that you'd like to share? Announcements, joys, or concerns?
We were back for the first time this week, and parents I had 2 parents in 2 different classes cry because they were so happy to be back.
Oh.
So that makes you feel like, okay, yep. I mean, just because they're not all coming doesn't mean that they don't want to be coming. So it was just nice. They're like, we're just so happy to be here. We've missed you guys so much. So, and they were here. Well, one mom was here in the fall. One hasn't been around since last spring when everything shut down. So it's like wrapping you up in a warm blanket, knowing how much they miss being with us. And I'm like, we miss you guys too.
I want to introduce Julie Dusler. She is our program coordinator. She wanted to sit in because I can't. And we want to get kind of a pulse on what's happening with other programs too. So I'm going to welcome her, and then I am going to leave.
Well, thank you, Kim, and welcome, Julie.
I have a little concern as we're talking about getting back in person and being so excited to offer that. We are pushing out our spring start to start after spring break. So we're going to just take the first couple of weeks of March off. And so we're trying to get some of these classes, and we're talking about what we're going to offer, and we're trying to do as much offered outside options, hopefully it'll be warm enough and nice enough to do some outside stuff. But as I'm planning all of this, we have 4 classrooms quarantined. So that's I'm a small district. That's nearly half of our program is out right now. And so it's just really concerning, I guess. Like I said, it's a concern. I'm nervous about offering in person. I want them to be back in person so badly. But I'm also just feeling really torn about even offering it, just to turn around and tell them, sorry, now you're sick or you can't come back. I don't know. I'm just having some issues. So I guess I just need to hear from you guys about, are you starting to plan more in person? Some of you are coming back in person. How are you guys feeling about all of that? I don't know.
We were in person all fall from right up until Thanksgiving. And we just said, families knew ahead of time what they were signing up for. They knew that if their child had a sniffle, that they couldn't come that week. And then we would be in contact with them. And, if they're a toddler, they have a runny nose. Some families did not get a COVID. Oh, Yuji, we can see you.
Hi, Alan. I mean, I'm not sure I can stay on the video because my computer will freeze sometime. So I need to turn off when they start to freeze.
That's exciting. No, because you're like right next to me on my screen. You're right to my left, like you're right there. And so I was just, oh, there you are. Hi, it's nice to see your face.
Thank you.
But anyway, but parents, like they kind of knew. And then we also had parents who had kids in preschool who they were in a preschool class, and that preschool class was quarantined. I think they know what they're signing up for. They know that nothing about this is normal. I don't know. It's hard to balance, but nobody complained when I was like, sorry, you guys can't come back for, 10 days or whatever. They knew what they were doing. I don't know if that helps. There's like an assumed risk involved. You know what I mean?
I think it does help because I think that is part of it. Is like, I don't want to offer it in person and have them be like, oh, really, like I'm signed up for your class and now it's not even happening. Okay, thanks a lot. Like knowing that the parents, like that's a good thing to remember, that they know what to sign up for and they realize that we have to follow the guidelines and sometimes we have to go, oh, my internet is unstable. I'm sorry. It looks like my internet might be kind of in and out. So sorry if that's happening again.
The other thing too, you guys, is we had quite a few classes that did not run this winter. We have 5 classes not going. And we had, 2 families, 1 mom, 2 kids, 2 moms. We needed 4. And so I just sent a message. I said, I'm really sorry your class isn't running. This is happening across our whole program. It's happening across the state. Maybe in spring, do you want us to push your registration to spring session or do you want a refund? And they get it. They get it. I'm just finding parents are being really gracious right now.
I would say ditto to Ellen for the most part, with a few minor exceptions. I have a few parents who are in it's all kind of a hoax and overblown camp that's really hard to get through to. So they wear their masks down here and just don't get why we can't be in person all the time. So I have a few grumblers who it's a little challenging, but really I think that more than 90% of families are just aware that this is just how things are right now and that all of us are doing our best and want to be with the kids. So yeah, my one main grumbler, as soon as we went to Zoom at Thanksgiving, was like, we're out, we're not doing the Zoom thing. And then today was our first day with this particular parent back in, and she was there. And she was one of the ones who was almost in tears with joy that we were back. And then I hate our schedule because next Friday we have off. And I'm like, why? So they get 1 week back and then they're gone again. And then so that's frustrating, scheduling that I have no control over. But for the most part, I think ditto to Ellen, lots of gracious families.
I found this week I started using the phrase, the state of the union, or the state of the state, or the state of the world, just kind of using that phraseology. And I think people then it's like it goes, oh yeah, that's right. I want ECFE to be what it usually is and what it's always been, that kind of thing. But oh yeah, that's right. We're in context again. So that sometimes is helpful, finding a phrase. Just a thought.
I think once it's actually there and I know what we're doing, I think it'll be easier. I think it's the planning for it that is really the hurdle for me. It's like I'm making all these plans and then I'm not sure I'm making the right plans. And then, okay, I'm making more plans. I'm just still not sure about the right plans. So I think that's definitely part of it. And once it's finally just done and written and this is the plan and we're moving forward with it, I think I'll find that resiliency again. But it's it's hard in the planning process because I mean, especially planning all this outdoor stuff, and then, you know, it's Minnesota. So is it going to be too cold for that? Are we going to have to change all the plans as we're already planning? It's the hurdle of that bit of it. But like I said, once it's out there, I think it'll go smoother. But thank you. You guys are encouraging and it helps give me perspective again too. And I'm not the only one that are making these kinds of plans and not sure how it's gonna go. So thank you.
I think, Melissa, I think if there's anything that I've been learning this year is that we just have to give our own selves grace, because we really literally have no idea what's going to happen next week or the next day. And if we stay like frozen until we know for a fact what's going to happen, we're not going to do anything. So it really is important. Like, the information that I have today is what I have to go on. I'm going to do my best with it. And that's what I've been really telling my families, my teachers too. It's like, we only know what we have today. So let's, you know, we can do what we can. And if something happens, then we have to adjust then. Like, if I have not learned adaptability and that I do not have control over anything this year, yeah, I am. Woo. So it is. So know that for sure, Melissa, you'll come up with great plans and guaranteed you're going to have to change them. Just know that right now. I mean, that's how I've been feeling anyway. So know that we're all here for you, sister. We're all here for you.
Just an example, Melissa, we added a baby class, a Thursday night baby class. We've never had a baby class on Thursday night. I do on Friday morning. And over this kind of J-term break that we had, I'm like, okay, Friday morning, sometimes I open up my Baby and Me file or folder for class and there's nothing in it because it's Friday morning. I've had 10 classes and I'm like, oh, whoops, didn't plan this. And I'm like grabbing toys and grabbing books and whatever. So in January, I was like, I'm going to plan this out. I'm going to plan out the whole month. I wish I had it to show you. It's a beautiful grid. It's all filled out. One baby class isn't running. The other one is. I have this beautiful plan for winter and I have 3 parents coming on Friday morning. And I was like, okay, well, you know, like I made this beautiful plan and I'm still going to be able to use it. It's just not going to be as gorgeous as I thought it was going to be come Thursday night. Anyway. So this is just an example. Like, we're all trying. And just think about how easy everything will seem next year when nothing is shifting under us every 10 seconds. Like, we're going to be like, wait, what? We're going to have 10 weeks of class in a row? What?
I got to say, it's been an interesting time to have my first years of teaching.
Sorry, Carrie, I'll be quiet. Whoops.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll give you next, Sarah. Ellen, when you said, oh, think of how easy it'll be next year, I just started laughing. I was thinking about my team too, and I'm not teaching classes this year. I was actually pulled out of that for other things during the pandemic planning, but I'm hearing that from my team. I meet with them every week, and all of these things that you're saying, they're saying too. And they just came back in person last week, hybrid, and then, which was earlier than planned. And then we're found out right before coming back hybrid that also coming back full in person the beginning of February. So it's like a few weeks of this sort of plan and then a new plan, because then class enrollment can open up again to more people and all of these things. And then we were on a meeting with our administrator and she was like, so, you know, it's time for planning next fall. So let me know, you know, what you think your job should look like in the fall. And I'm taking notes on this meeting and I'm just like trying to type and trying to think, because she's like, well, so whatever you did, you know, in 2019 is what I'll plan for you for this fall. And I was like, I don't remember what I did. And what are you talking about? And now we're thinking about fall. We haven't even come back in person. And like, yeah, it's just so much to wrap our heads around. And constantly changing. So I have to read to you. I've decided to write like a mantra every week that I read every morning to myself. And this was mine for this week. So I think everyone needs to hear. I expand in calm predictability as I plan a schedule and flex with changes because shift happens. That was the word shift. Shift happens. And change is predictable right now. So it just really helps me to remember that the change actually is predictable. I can predict that this is all going to change. And so I can find some calm in that I already know that's going to happen. So maybe that will help some of you today.
Love it, Carrie. I love that. I'm just going to start running around saying, yeah, shift happens. Shift. I said shift. That's what I said. All I was gonna say was when we're so unpredictable right now, I feel like our families have needed more of us just being there. It's not really like about the lessons that we have or the stuff that we have out or that. It's like literally just being together has been gift enough for them. Do you know what I mean? Because it has been way more inconsistent, and you have maybe a whole different group the 1 week from the next, so you don't have that cohesiveness that we're used to by this point. So just being able to be together, I think, has been a lot. So I've been dialing back on my actual lessons of what's been happening as a parent ed for sure. But I'm gonna say shift happens now all the time.
I just noted that I think of our 4 student teachers this semester. We have a big group of students that are sort of going through the snake. So traditionally we'll have, 10 or 12 student teachers. And I know many of you have been through the U student teaching experience. Anyway, so we have 28 this semester. And I can only imagine what their student teaching experience is going to be like. Becca, were you part of the student teaching last spring? So even that was kind of disrupted, wasn't it?
No, I was 2 years ago. So my first year teaching was last year. So I got a relatively normal fall. And then, okay, I don't even know what an end of year is supposed to look like. I haven't yet had one. So this is my second year teaching, but I did get a good normal student teaching experience.
Yeah.
I felt bad about that. I was offered, or I was asked to help a student teacher, and I was like, we don't have enough classes. Nothing's running. You can't student teach something that's happening. So yeah.
And that was the experience in the coordinator trying to set up student teaching placements that made it even harder too, was that a lot of reliable school districts, in the sense of that they were sort of the go-tos for student teaching experiences for what students wanted, we're just like, I'm sorry, not this semester, because it's just too hard. So, yeah.
Well, and for us, it would have been, we have a certain number of adults in a room for physical distancing. And so if we had had a student teacher come in person, then that would have bumped a parent out. So there's those limitations too, that you're not even, that you can't. Yeah.
This spring, I've been asked if I could be observed from a student in St. Cloud. And I was like, yeah, but know that my class has been shortened. So it's 45 minutes lucky. And I'm used to an hour. And we have already, we don't know if it's gonna, how long the classes are gonna, just be ready for flexibility and change. And know that about this time, usually I'm this place in curriculum or ideas and things, and we're not there. And now it's a new group, and it's just an interesting time to have them come in and observe. And I said, oh, shoot, that means I have to get my stuff together too. I can't just, because like what you were saying, Sarah, I'm going kind of on the presence, right? And being there and doing a lot more like joys and concerns. I call them apples and onions, and doing that kind of stuff, because
that's what they're looking for. And so for her to observe me, it might not always get to the lesson. I mean, I'm sorry. I'll try really hard when you're observing me, but right. So it's a different year altogether. And I think that conversation with her will be necessary, I guess, to let her know it's going to be different. But yeah, you like apple. I like apples and onions too, Melissa. I was tired of joys and concerns, honestly.
We should like come up with a whole list of alternatives to joys and concerns.
Well, I think I'm the only one went through my student teaching during, this group, right? Last spring. So my student teaching start, because I went back to China, supposed to start in January, but I lost my mom and I had to go back to China to join, to organize family funeral. And then when I came back, so I had to come back earlier because of COVID in China. And then I came back in the end of February, and I started my student teaching in March. And what happened right after, like 1 week after I started my student teaching, and there was a strike because I took my student teaching at St. Paul District, ECFE. And then the strike happened, and that took a whole week right after strike and the COVID, like all school closed. So at the time the district, because the parent, the teacher, they were not trained for online teaching. No one knows what to do, and no one could take me. I had to stop. Lucky thing is I'm so grateful thinking back, right? So I'm so grateful because I started to observe several parent educators teaching in a regular basis every week since 2018. Since I discovered the ECFE, I was amazed by this program, right? I couldn't stop. I would go to the classroom, find mentors, and every week, like a regular base, like twice a week. And then, so this experience allowed my university, they actually applied for my license because all the experience I had already in the classroom, right? So I didn't have student teaching, unfortunately, but fortunately, I still got my license. So, this is actually, I'm very grateful, but and very interesting, right? So 2 of my mentors at ECFE St. Paul I love the most. One is Jill Griffin, and so she's retired in June, and I still continue to she still continue to mentor me, and she's volunteering and teaching 2 classes online right now, right? And I'm in her class every week, twice a week. And also my another mentor, she resigned from ECFE, and she also had time to have, to support me. So I like during the time when I was preparing for the parenting class in Montana, right? So I received a lot of support from them, and I'm so grateful. And now I have you. I have this meeting. Just so phenomenal. I just feel I cannot ask for more. I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's interesting it's easier to mentor when we're on kind of solid ground because we have our base and then we can speak to our context and content. It's something else when we're trying to manage it ourselves and then also train somebody. I think it's a little bit too about, occasionally I'll talk about sort of the art of what we do. And Greta, when you were talking, I think if a student was observing us this semester, they would see that artistry, right? They would see you may not see like the surgical precision, but what you see is the cool and the calm of an otherwise frenetic educator who is doing the best they can, but is also keeping their audience, keeping their learners in mind. And yeah, so, and that's, I think it's not always easy for students to pick that up because they're so focused on what is the curriculum, how are you doing this? You know, what is the method? How many people? What is this room context and all the stuff that the license requires? So I hope in their own student teaching supervision, you know, is that they are also sort of mentored to step back and just observe how this professional is handling this.
That's a
I
beautiful way to
actually
look
had
at it, as artistry.
Yeah.
I mean,
We are artists.
right? And that's true. It's the more one side of the brain is like kind of going, okay, we're compensating here because we can't do it from the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an artistry and an expertise. I mean, it's where you have the tools, you're comfortable with the tools, and you can apply those tools across a whole variety of settings, which is, again, kind of my thing about the way that we do training for parenting education versus canned programs, right? A canned program is fine, but it doesn't teach you how to teach. And, but we have the tools. But I think the expertise and the artistry is in using those tools and using that content. And that's what you all do.
I actually had a really big conversation around this with our mentor teacher the other day. She's actually mentoring 2 brand new teachers this year that in our early childhood program. And I talked about the fact that, you know, because this year is this year, there might be some of those little details that they're missing, but something extra that these teachers are getting that you don't necessarily get is they're really watching you in how you deal with stresses, and a veteran teacher and how you're there and can go with the flow when you need to, be flexible when you need to. Yes, there's all these details, like you said, that surgical precision of the things that have to happen, but sometimes we forget to teach that self-care and that, like, when this is happening, this is how I take care of it. These are the processes for when something isn't going the way we want it to. There's a lot more of they're seeing things go wrong more often, but really that you don't know how to handle those situations until you deal with them. And I think that they're seeing more of those this year. So I looked at it as a different benefit. Like, yeah, you're right. You're not being able to do everything the way you're used to doing everything. But because of that, they're seeing the problem solving process play out in a more real fashion, and they're learning so much from that. So, you know, try to find that silver lining, I guess.
Sorry. Is anything coming up this week that you would like support with? Or in the coming month? Well, gosh, we're almost to February.
You know, something that I'm challenging myself with this coming, it's not this week, but it's the following week, is I've asked WIC to come in via Zoom into my in-person classroom and share about the standards that were changed for 20 to 25 with the dietary recommendations for 2 and under, because those changed. I just come across it and I have relationship with these gals. I said, could you come in and just do 10 minutes of sharing those changes, and then can we dialogue? Can we just kind of ask you some questions? I know, and the parents are always interested in asking them questions. So that's going to be something different for me. I haven't done a hybrid model with in-person and online at the same time. We've just either done online or in person. And so, but I'm excited. I just want to share that with you guys because it was a nice topic, I think, to bring up to parents. I love the ideas of what they brought up for the 20 to 25 changes dietary wise. And so WIC was really willing because they aren't seeing people in person. And so they were really willing to get online. They've had experiences now on Zoom, and FYI, just a resource if somebody else wants to do something like that. Has anyone done anything like that? Has anyone had somebody in and has any tips? If they have, I would love to hear like what worked and what didn't work. That would be nice. Oh, Karen, you did?
No, Ellen did.
but
Oh, Ellen.
Shelley, didn't you do some of that?
Shelley, you're pointing down. I don't know who you're
I
showing.
am, and you don't know who's down below me, but it's not me.
Sorry. Shelley, did you do something? How did it work?
Not on Zoom. I had someone from public health come in to my twos. This was before COVID, but someone come into, I think I had 4 twos classes and talk about nutrition and mealtime to the twos and bring all the current information. But that was probably fall of last year before COVID hit. But it was great to have a guest speaker. They loved it.
We've developed a relationship with the community college here. So the nursing students come in and share annually, like biannually, once in the fall, once in the spring, but because we just haven't done it now for a year. And I'm trying to decide if that's another thing we could do is Zoom wise and still qualify for what they need for their classes, because they need to do a community outreach. But if you guys have any community colleges, nursing programs that have to do something to teach in a public health kind of fashion or community education, that's another one. And they do a great job. I love when they come in and talk about germs. So it wouldn't be in person anymore, but maybe I could get the materials where they sneeze and it blows all over the table, things like that. They're really good with germs and safety, like building a plan for household escape. If there's a fire, then we do that at the table and they'll talk about fire safety and all this stuff, oral care. Anyway, college students are awesome.
So Greta, let me just ask, so your class is in person and then the WIC folks would come in through Zoom?
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna try.
So you'll have a monitor or something so that they're kind of zooming into where you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what we're gonna
It gives me the idea. I don't know if anyone else has the amazing newborn clinic idea. I know like we had public health come in and they come into our building, use one of our rooms, and once a week they would do like the baby weigh-ins and touch base with parents and stuff that way. And they haven't been doing it since COVID. But this kind of gives me an idea to reach out to them when we start offering classes so they can kind of touch base again. I know they're super busy with, COVID, but if there is anybody available to just jump in, they would probably like that reconnection with families again, even if it's just briefly, to be like, hey, we're still here and we hope to come back and see you again at some point, idea. So that was what it brought up for me, is reaching out to them. So
Can I just
ask again?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to recognize Karen, but let me slip in just since I work on the outside of Parent Ed and oftentimes with a lot of different agencies and nonprofits and health, social services and stuff, that always in their sort of plans are around diversity and outreach and stuff like that. And they're always looking for more ways to reach families. And honestly, you guys are like the guard dogs, where and I've been in that situation of wanting to come to Parent Ed classes to talk. And it's sort of like, these are my parents and who are you to come talk to, And so, so I'm just saying the interest, I think when you talk about the nursing students and from WIC and public health and stuff, they are itching, and especially just the same kind of experiences that you're having with getting to people through Zoom and just the crazy things that we're all facing is, I would very much guess that if you have a topic in mind or something like that, you will find a willing participant. And the other thing is that they can video record. They could do something at their, they could do a screencast or something like that, record that. So even if they can't be there in person, you can still get the content out to your families by sharing a link to, that video. So, and then it's kind of one method gets to everybody. Anyway, so I'll shut up. Karen?
When you say that, Susan, it just makes me think that I'm going to record them and then I can bring, because WIC doesn't go on Fridays up here. And I could then show it to my Friday class. I wouldn't have done that in the past, but I could do that today. Okay. Good idea.
I have a question, and this is a different topic. So if, unless other people have other, want me to go ahead? Okay, I'm going to go ahead. All right, one of the classes that I teach is raising race conscious children. We started it in the fall. We continued it in the winter. And one of the topics that we will be talking about later in February or early March will be white privilege. And so I want to know from this awesome group of wisdom, have you addressed this in your classes? And if so, what are some of the things that you have done? My lesson plan is right here, but that's, I want your stuff. I want to know what am I missing? So tell me how you address white privilege in your classes, and if you have.
So I'm getting ready for a class on diversity myself. And for that class, I actually don't intend on going that direct with it. So I'm interested to hear what everyone else is going to say. But I talk about how diversity in early childhood is really like, even just starting to notice the difference that, that guy has a beard like dad, or how that person, looks different because they don't look like anyone else in my family. And because I have experience with like my niece being super afraid of anyone with a beard. Her dad didn't have a beard and she had issues with anyone with a beard. So I talk about just how those little differences of something like that is diversity. And so I kind of stay away from that however the conversation comes up with the parents, but really just talking about differences in general. So I'm interested to see what anyone else has to say about it as well.
Karen, I teach a series on talking with children about race and skin color. I did it over the summer, and then I'm going to do it again for the Blake school community. And I'll say that white privilege is the last thing I address directly. It's the fourth week of 4.
Yep.
Because it's so squirmy for people.
Yep.
And so we do a lot of growing into that and getting resolved to just face it down and really talk about it. And I just recently heard a podcast that I'm definitely going to incorporate into my curriculum. It's a Brene Brown Unlocking Us. It's the most recent.
Yes.
And it's with Emmanuel Acho. Now, she has shifted so that you can only hear her on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, you can't just go to her website anymore and hear him. But I put the link in the chat. He talks about privilege in that podcast, white privilege. And I think it is an excellent resource for a number of different, I'm weaving it in a number of different places to my curriculum because, okay, thanks, Ellen. So I just really commend all of you to that particular podcast episode. And it is with Emmanuel Acho, who has awkward conversations with a Black man. Those are free videoed conversations of his online. Just looked up his website, so I can give you that link. So that's a first comment. The second comment is one of the things I do to introduce the idea of, so my lesson plan is the science lesson of melanin, the social studies lesson of culture as a identity which people step into and claim, and then the social studies lesson of race and racism after that. So after I talk about culture, I'm like, yeah, but you're all still uncomfortable here because we haven't really talked about everything yet, have we? And here's a hint as to why you're still uncomfortable. And then I invite them to imagine having a paper cut and that I have a Band-Aid for them. And then I bring them, oh, that's not my Band-Aid basket. You can get dark skin colored Band-Aids at Target. And in person, I would hand out the Band-Aids and I would be like, go ahead and take one, open it up and just notice how you respond to this Band-Aid. How you would feel putting it on your skin, on your paper cut, and how you would feel putting it on your child.
Yep.
Just notice, like don't judge, just notice, you don't have to share. Just sit with that, and then let's talk about that again next week. And that's how I introduce some of the awareness. And some people are like, Band-Aids aren't racist. I'm like, I know. You know, I mean, people are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's curated discomfort. It's a pretty safe way to invite them in to the conversation. So I think Band-Aids can be helpful in that way too. There are other examples too. And, you know, all of the people colors, markers, and other things that help people understand how, unless it's otherwise labeled, it's white. So why is this white norm thing?
Right.
Like, what's that all about? Who is missing from that, right? Just those kinds of things. Hope that's helpful.
Thank you. That really helps. And you're right. I mean, this is one of my last topics that I do in an 8-week class. This is one of the last. And by then parents we've already addressed it in the other classes, but I want to really focus in on it. And yet there's that white guilt, there's all that, and helping them work through that. I mean, you can't work through that in a 45-minute Zoom. It's not how it works. So it's one of those things that I'm always looking for new ways to do that.
Yeah. And I just think naming the discomfort is super helpful. So that it's just helpful and important. I mean, I'm sure you know the other resources. Robin DiAngelo, et cetera.
That's all in there. Yeah. One of the questions that I asked the last time, although my lesson plan had a lot of stuff on it, just like this over planning stuff we've talked about, you know, but the big question was, when you think of white privilege, what comes to mind? And that's brought in so many things. And, you know, by that time in class, they have been able to see, even looking at, one parent looked at Clifford books, and there's one girl of color in the Clifford book, and she's angry, you know, so it's even, you know, they've gone through that process, but that one question got rid of all the words that I put down on here because that was their stuff. But I just want to know how you manage that. And as you also talked about with the, you know, the melanin, and how children learn about color, skin color, and race, and that they learn that at a very, very young age. And we go through that whole looking at racial identity development as one of the developmental stages. But I don't want to go on. I want to hear you guys. So how else do you address that in your classes, or do you? Uncomfortable combos.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah,
that's Emmanuel Acho.
Yeah, I've watched one of those. He does a brilliant job.
Brilliant
job.
Yeah, thank you.
But in the podcast with Brene Brown, he actually offers a pretty succinct definition of white privilege.
Thank you.
And I think I also think representation is important. So hearing it from a man of color is also meaningful. But Robin DiAngelo does a great job too. And there are other sources. Oh, also the Anti-Racist Parenting podcast.
Yes.
Okay, so you're familiar with that. That's another good one. And it's homegrown, Minnesotan.
Yep.
So for those of you who don't know it, two gals, I'm just typing and talking at the same time. After George Floyd was murdered, decided, darn it, we're going to do this. And they are Minnesotan through and through, complete with accents.
Wow.
And there are 6 episodes. They're all fantastic. They are Minnesotan. The guests are Minnesotan. It is all very like a local, rich exchange and resource.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the other questions I asked is, what are some of the examples of white privilege? And I didn't even have to, I have my list here, but I didn't even have to say it. They automatically came in: food, shelter, housing, clothing, driving, education, shopping, dining, friends, conversations, work, play. It was all, they brought that in, but that was just the question that I asked. And then what helped you realize the white privilege?
Cool. And one example of white privilege is if you haven't talked to your kids about skin color and race yet.
Yep. Even though they're 3, even though they're 2.
Even though they're 3.
as I sit here and think about it, my watch is beeping because my heart rate is way up. There's another example, right? I feel
We don't have a lot of
guys.
practice.
My heart is telling me to breathe. I mean, I'm like, breathe, take a breath. It's so visceral. My hackles go up. My concern for those who see something a little differently than how I'm seeing it is concerning. That other people have their reasons and I want to understand them. And it's all these different sides and perspectives, and it's a biggie and it's real. I mean, that's sometimes the only place I can get to is like, okay.
And I would assert that it is uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable right now too, Greta. Like if I had the heart rate monitor, it would be up. I would assert that, we have equity inclusion work to do, certainly in our schools, of helping people who identify as BIPOC have their needs met at school. But the other huge project that we don't do quite as eagerly is talking to white people about this stuff. And so I just think encouraging parents to step into the conversation is so important for interrupting all of the crap.
Totally agree with you, Sarah. And I've had a conversation with a few relatives graciously and asking for peace and it's been hard. And some of the things that come up are, I don't want to be told that I'm bad. And I don't want to, I haven't done anything wrong. I've been very kind. I have served my community. I have done all these things trying to not see it as different. People are people. I've heard those things.
I know.
And I've heard people just say, well, you got to change and fix it. And I'm maybe everybody's kind of gone this path, but one of the things that in talking to my husband, we just were talking, it's like, it's a lot easier to lead somebody, or like, here's my metaphor. It's a lot easier to lead a horse to water. It's very difficult to make them drink, but you can salt the oats. And I feel like what's happened, and Sarah, your approach, I feel is salting oats. It's not demanding and pulling and yanking somebody to drink this water. Does that make sense? It just feels like how would we want to be changed? Be told you just have to, or find something internally that my internal gut wants to change, and I get it. I get that there's power issues here. There's people that have power and people who are underpowered. I get that. I don't find it very successful to blame and angry and do it in anger. I find that those who are at least closest to me respond when we start salting oats and just asking some questions, just being, like you said, Sarah, just sit and observe. How does this feel? Is your watch, is your heart rate going up just talking about it? Well, then there's something there. There's just something. So let's sit with it. And so to be careful in my community up here, I'd have to be really careful. Karen, I give you kudos, and Sarah, all the work you've done too, I give you kudos, but I'd have to be so careful in my classes to bring this up.
Greta,
I think that's why this is happening.
I totally agree, because my previous district, it wouldn't go well. My current district, it will go well. And I saw a really great quote the other day, how we talk about equilibrium and disequilibrium and how things are rocky when we're in a phase of development. I saw a quote that said, think about how you're learning about anti-racism as a disequilibrium before the equilibrium. I don't know where I read it, so I cannot attribute. I just read it somewhere and I was like, I'm gonna write that down. But it's like, it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna wrestle with it. And so just a really interesting way to think about, especially when we're telling parents, like, some of you may have never thought about this before. However, there is and this is where I think about the virtues. Have you guys heard of the Virtues Project? So if you look up the Virtues Project, there are 40, I think it's 40 virtues that all human beings have. It has nothing to do with morality or values. It's the virtues that every single human deserves. And so what you can do is talk about how making sure that you are raising children who uphold these virtues and how you treat other humans with respect and dignity. And so if you come at it kind of from that angle, it can help parents who are maybe not there. And remember too, you guys, this isn't the only thing where we're bringing up something and parents are like, well, that's BS, right? I mean, we can bring up all day long how in the backs of their heads, they are pulling out the baggage from their childhood is like, it's needling back there. And parents are like, yeah, no, not me. It's fine. There are always going to be things that we bring up that parents are going to say, no. But you guys, you put it in the head and it needles around in there and it changes their thinking. And it might not change it in their class and it might not change it next year. But by golly, when their 5-year-olds are in kindergarten and their 5-year-old has a best friend who is a child that does not match their skin tone, they're going to be like, oh, we talked about this.
Yep.
So anyway, I kind of rambled, but anyway, I like that disequilibrium piece a lot.
Thank you.
And I'll just throw in, not to diminish the topic at all, but just also tensions around gender orientation.
Yep.
And many more. I think, as I think about this, when we have these discussions in class, and it's a huge issue on campus. And I'll just personalize it by saying kind of the movement towards personal pronouns. I mean, all of the undergraduates now will do, she, her, hers, or whatever, is from my own generation is sort of that, okay, well, I'm getting there, but don't, jump on me about this. Anyway, it's just huge stuff, but also it's a tough thing. I have a lot of undergraduate students, say, from multiple cultures and races. And I think I have that tension as a white woman to, I'm always uncomfortable, I think, when I have African-American students and I have Hmong students and I have Latino, is not wanting to make it, like that I'm assuming an understanding of their history or of their culture, but really more facilitating the discussion. And I think then from the flip side, and this is our world, right, in working with parents too, and is that, man, this stuff around culture and racism is deep. I mean, it is learned and it is reinforced. And there's a real reason that people object to it and that people hold it in the back of their brains and think that they're fine, right? But that it's a lot deeper than it is. And so I really applaud Karen for bringing it up because, Karen, you have to get back because I'm giving you a compliment.
I'm sorry, I'm back. I have a fire going in the fireplace, and so my fire alarm went off, and my house is not on fire. So,
no, I was just saying I really applaud you for bringing it up because it's tough. This is really tough stuff, and it's hard to. And I really appreciate Sarah's work on this too, and the way of conceptually framing this and easing it and phasing it, and because for so many people, this is deep stuff that is not a topic that is just a topic to learn. Like you can Google it and problem solve it, right? This is not that. This is ingrained stuff that is reinforced. And I mean, the more recent stuff is looking at social media, especially after the election and everything like that, and how our perceptions are just even more divided by our social media interactions, right? So anyway, I'm just saying that there are additional issues too with gender orientation that we approach. And then and my tension as a white woman sort of dealing with this stuff, so I don't sound like I'm assuming. I've also heard, I've had some graduate students who have presented on Indigenous families, and they almost have this stock language that they're using. And I understand why they're using it, but it really sounds like it's not authentic, you know, that it's just words that they're saying. And I almost wonder if that's worse sometimes. And then finally, just that how deep this really is for people, and the challenge that we have as educators sort of facilitating these discussions. So
Maybe I missed it. Karen, did you tell them about, well, Karen's been very instrumental in moving this work forward in our district and in our program. And one of the things that that we did was to have a group of people who practice this stuff with each other. And so Karen puts those meetings together and shares resources. And we have people of color and varying roles in the program. And it really helps if you can have time with other professionals, other people doing your same work, to dive into this stuff and practice it with each other, and prior to, you know, teaching it. Like, you have the information, right? And you have your lesson plan, but that's only one part of teaching it, and being comfortable, more comfortable with it, and hearing many perspectives has really made a difference for me personally anyway.
Thanks.
If anybody is interested in taking this up, I would love to be a part of a group like that, like a community of support around broaching this topic, or other uncomfortable topics, as Susan mentioned, the kind of stuff that your parents didn't talk to you about, which, like, definitely for me includes race and skin color.
Yep.
And
And
so I
sex
would,
and bodies.
and certainly not sex, and certainly not
and still
sexuality
don't-
or gender identity.
Still can't. Yeah.
I
I
would
still
still-
can't
right.
talk with parents about it. Yeah.
I
And
would
they're
love-
80.
Right. Right. And right. And I think I blow my own mother's mind now, and I'm lucky enough to still have her in my life. But anyway, I think it would be a great way to support each other. And maybe it's just something we talk about in this group, but if there's a group that wants to go deep, I'm happy to share. And I would love to learn from Karen how she's approached it. Because of we just have to stop being quiet.
Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to. I'm not comfortable doing this, but I have to do this.
That's right.
I mean, that's just the way it is. And I come in with that, I'm a white woman. I lived in white privilege, and I'm learning along with it. And I don't know. There's that old saying, what is it? You teach what you have to learn. So there you go.
And I think it's going to be really hard every time, but I think it'll get easier.
Yes. Yeah.
With practice.
Developing resilience, right? How do we do it?
You just learned that you survived it the first time. So, oh God, okay, we're doing it again.
And I found after the Philando Castile shooting, I was teaching a course on child development, an undergraduate course, and it really mobilized me to switch that course up to teach much more about racial identity, and especially the challenges the parents have in racial identity with their kids. But I reached out to an educator in St. Paul who is Black, and asked her for how to do it, like if she, and it was wonderful, and she really provided me with some wonderful videos and sort of discussion questions and facilitating all of that.
Cool.
So Sarah, I really appreciate your noting, about, so Karen, for the work that you're doing. I mean, I think Christy left, but my perception of what's going on in 196 is largely it's been an administrative initiative, right, for 196 to really move into this space pretty concretely. And so no shade on other districts, but I appreciate, Sarah, you're sort of bringing this up to facilitate more discussion on this, because I mean, every district can't do everything. And so I think the example from 196 and the efforts that you all are making there, and then conversations like this, do open it up to then how else can we provide more support on this topic to us as professionals.
Thank you.
And I honestly, if this is something that gets mined, I'll tell you, my choir is like reading the books and having those discussions. And honestly, that's not the space I want to have those conversations. I mean, they are very with it, woke, middle-aged white women, but I feel more comfortable having this conversation with you all. And it's not a comfort, but it's almost like I would rather have this conversation with you because there's that connection between us as individuals and as women, and also as educators in the populations we work with. So it's a little bit more of a one-stop shop for my own awareness than it would be necessarily with other communities. So if it happens, I'm with you. Anyway, I'm recognizing that we are over time. So and a couple people have needed to peel off. Before we leave, I do want to open it up in case there's any final words. I do have one question though, because as we're talking, and this kind of comes full circle to Yuji's request at the very beginning, we do have so much that is offered in the chats. And what I do, as you can see each week, is I record the videos and put the video files up on YouTube. But I know that there's information, there are links and really good stuff that is in the chat. What do you want me to do with that so that it's useful to you? Would you like me to just do a follow-up email to the Perfect Connections list with that text file that has the chat in it, or what would be most useful to you?
Susan, could you just send it out to the people who were in the meeting?
I can. I mean, it's just then that the burden for me, Ellen, is that I need to have I need to have a specific list of the names. So, because I get that, I understand, and I can do that if that's the request.
Yeah, because sometimes we use it as a place to, put, off-topic things or things we don't want to be, private things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
the chat on our own. We can all save the chat on our own, but that doesn't necessarily solve the problem.
So if I can speak up just as someone who's been here the first time, and copying and pasting for Kim, all your good resources, I think that's a great idea to somehow be able to save those chat things. Just as, I'm going copy paste and put it in there for Kim. So somehow if that could be, but I totally understand your privacy and that you do need to say things in chat that maybe doesn't want to be recorded. So, but if I can just put my 2 cents in it, it would be nice, could somebody copy and paste those links or, something like that anyway, but that's just my 2 cents being in on your great meeting. I'm so glad Kim is part of this. So thank you guys.
So yeah. If the work was done to take just the links and the resources that are made, put it in a document, and then Susan can send that out to the listener. Is that what we're saying would be really helpful?
I think that's reasonable, Greta, and it wouldn't be unreasonable for one of us each time to volunteer to be that scribe.
I was just going to say I'll volunteer to do something like that. Maybe a few of us, and we could, or like you said, Sarah, someone volunteer that day as a question asked at the end. Who's willing to take the resources and copy paste and send it to Susan?
I think that's a great idea.
That'd be great. Because I know I would like start strong, and then it'd be Thursday and I'd go, oh shoot, I haven't done it yet. Because what Zoom does is once it's all done, it will create that little folder of material, and so I'll immediately have the text file that I can send to someone. So
what about at the beginning of our Zoom meetings, we just have who's going to be the recorder, okay, who's going to be the editor of the chat this week, and then we can volunteer, and then you just send that to us.
Okay.
I'll do it this week if you.
All right. So Greta's our editor. Perfect.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrific. Okay. Anything else or final words? It was a fabulous conversation on the end. Thank you, Karen, for bringing that up. And Sarah and everybody for your resources. So anything for closure?
Thank you so much, Karen and Susan. I feel like as me, I am Asian, right? Chinese. So to be honest, when I am listening to all of your discussion, my heart feels so touched because I see the good good heart of American people, right? So the white people, they care for other. I mean, I cannot describe, how much I feel in my heart. And, today is too short, and I hope we have some free session, just talk about, I would have hours to share, how much experience I had, right? And, my other Asian friends had. It's really, this is so great. I'm so grateful for this.
Thank you, Yuji.
So much to learn.
So much to learn, so much to experience. Well, artists, all. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same place, same Zoom space. So
Good luck, Karen. Good luck, Karen.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate it, and we'll carry on later. All right.
Keep in touch, Karen. Keep in touch.
What?
Karen, keep in touch. I will follow your email.
Okay, yeah, just email me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.